downloading this episode of Cork Talk with me, Tim Atkin. A weekly conversation with some of the most famous people in the world of wine. Chiara Boschis comes from a historic winemaking family in Piedmont, but she had to struggle to follow the same career as her other siblings. Taking over the Pira winery in Barolo in 1990, she became one of the most important members of a new modernising group of winemakers, the Barolo Girl among the so-called Barolo boys. Committed to organic viticulture and a lover of Nebbiolo, she's a fascinating guide to Italy's greatest wine region. Hello, Chiara, and welcome to the podcast.
Good morning, Tim. That's fantastic to see you.
And you, I mean, you're in New York, aren't you?
Yes, I'm here for work, but it's fantastic. Of course, it's a beautiful day, so freezing cold, but beautiful.
Listen, loads of things to talk about, particularly Barolo, but let's just start a little bit with your family, because you were born into this historic winemaking family. I mean, your ancestors founded the Borgogno estate in, 1761, wasn't it?
Exactly. Borgogno, as also Pira. They were two of the very old winery in the Barolo village. You know, Barolo took the name, the wine Barolo took the name from the village. Why? Because in the village of Barolo, they were the oldest winery existing. So both these two winery, Borgogno and Pira, were dating back to 1700.
1761. And do you have memories as a kid when you were growing up of wine? I mean, you were very involved, weren't you?
Yes, not of the 1761, of course, but but yes, I had a lot of memory because my childhood was very happy. I was, in the country. The life was very simple and but very joyful. And I remember that my parents always involved the kids, as if it was a big play. Always, let's go and play the harvest. Let's go and play making boxes. So I always had these joyful memories, also of friends and relatives coming to help. Today you would go in jail for something like that. But back then was normal and everybody was happy. My mother was cooking a lot of tagliarini, agnolotti for everybody. And we were really, I remember music, singing, people singing in the vineyard, so it was beautiful.
That sounds amazing. You didn't study enology or viticulture. You studied business and economics at Turin University, didn't you? So was the assumption that your brothers, older brothers, Giorgio and Cesare, would they take over the family business?
Exactly. In the past, especially my generation, I'm a boomer, right? So, so back then, women were still supposed just to get married, join the family of the husband and help them. So nobody would give to the daughters the real estate. They were giving some money, a dowry, and goodbye. So in my case, the same. The family left the winery to my two brothers, and I was a girl, so they asked me to study something like economics. So maybe because I had a bad character, I was very always. So I could have been, the secretary or helping in the office, and of course I did not agree.
You didn't want to do that. I mean, were there any women winemakers in Barolo at the time? We're talking in the 80s. No one.
No, absolutely. The enological school was just boys, only boys.
So you were the first, really, weren't you?
I didn't, but I didn't do enological school. I think the first girls arrived a few years later in starting to do
Yeah, I mean, you had a phase after you'd graduated from Turin University of working for Price Waterhouse, I think. But you still at university when you actually bought a winery, right? You persuaded your parents, to help you with a loan from the bank, basically. So how did that happen?
Yeah. So what's happened is that Enrico Pira, that was Luigi Pira, sorry, that was the guy who was running the winery, died. Actually, unfortunately, he suicided, and in 1980. And so the two sisters that were, one was living with him, the other one not, but they were not involved in winemaking at all. So they were kind of shocked for what's happened, and also they were not able to keep on going. So they were panicking a little bit, but because my parents were good friends of them, they support them. So I remember that my older brother, my father, my mother, they were really helping for one entire year for do all the work in the vineyard, because he died in June. So when all the work in the vineyard has to be done, and then you have all the bottling, then you have the harvest. So for this reason, the two sisters were so grateful that offered my parents to take over the winery. But of course, my parents had already the winery. So plus, the winery, the money they were thinking to ask was really too much. So you can imagine that Pira had a little bit less than 1 hectare in Canubi, and that was has always been the most regarded vineyard, the most iconic vineyard. So the price was very high, and for this reason was required a very long mortgage, which I paid in 30 years, and so I'm very happy.
Okay, yeah. And so when did you decide you wanted to become a winemaker? Because you were studying business and finance, weren't you? Basically, when did you say, "Hey, I'm going to make wine"? Had you always wanted to be a winemaker?
Yes, I hated to study economics, but I did it just because my parents wanted to. So, no, I loved it. As I was telling you, I was hooked right away since I was a child from this atmosphere, the environment, this beautiful, almost bucolic. I've always been a romantic girl, so I always see the lovely part of the work. Today that I see also the other side, I tell you that it's not so bucolic. Sometimes it's really very hard.
Right? The sales.
But yes, since I was very young, I really wanted to be a farmer and a winemaker. And so I pursued it in this goal.
I mean, and your first vintage was 1990, but are you a self-taught winemaker? I mean, you learned from your brother and presumably from your dad a bit. You basically did it yourself, right?
Yes, of course. Enology and winemaking help you, especially to understand all the structure and the evolution, the chemical thing, the chemical aspect. But all the guys that work in the cellar, not necessarily are enologue, right? You can do how to make the work, but then if you needed to interpret, let's say, the analysis, I had to ask my older brother, who was an enologist. But yes, I learned in a mix between my parents, but most of all, I learned thanks to the fact that I joined the group of the Barolo boys, and I had friends like Giorgio Rivetti, Domenico Clerico, who were really helping me a lot.
It's interesting you talked about the Barolo boys, because they sometimes talked about you as a Barolo girl, right? There were two girls, weren't there? It was you and Marta Rinaldi.
No, Marta, no, absolutely. Marta has nothing to do with the Barolo boys.
Okay.
Nothing to do. She's 30 years younger than me.
So who was the other, the Barolo girl? Was it just you?
No, I was the only one.
Yeah, okay, right.
I was the only one.
Online. That's wrong, isn't it?
I can say that the next generation is the generation of Silvia Altare, but it's like 15 years younger than me. So I was hanging out with the father of Silvia.
With the father,
Silvia was a girl. So I was, we were doing all this experiment, and there was Elio. But Silvia came along, but much later.
Yeah. To who started the movement? Was it Elio Altare who started it?
No, it was a combination of people. That generation has an incredible concentration of great personality. Really great men. And I would say that more than Elio was part of the movement, of course, but I think that everything started with this small association that was the Langain, that it was a little group of winemaker, especially inspired by Giorgio Rivetti, to be honest, because he was the one who was always pushing on the side of getting together. Normally Piemontese are very individualist. And it's something that, unfortunately, we are going back to that stage of individualism, people doing their stuff. But back then, there was, because probably everybody were poor, so there was the pleasure and the need to be together and do all those experiments that we have been doing. So we were really hanging out regularly. At least once a week, but also more sometimes. And we were doing tasting regular basis. And during the harvest, we were always doing experiment. So what's happened is that in few years, we accumulate a lot of experience, because if you in your life you have maybe 50 harvests on your shoulder. But with this system, we were maybe, let's say, 10 friends. Instead of making one harvest, you were making 10.
And you tried each other's wines, yeah?
Yeah. And I remember, in this group of great winemaker, where was fascinating. So I remember Elio, I remember, of course, Giorgio.
And Roberto Vezio,
Yeah. Then at a certain moment, everybody started to go away. But the hardcore always remain together. So, yeah.
I mean, this led to the so-called Barolo wars, didn't it? I mean, in inverted commas, with more traditional producers. I'm thinking of Bartolo Mascarello, maybe Beppe Rinaldi, people like that. Was it a war? Do you think, was it ever that bad?
Well, you know what? The war was depicted by the journalist. I have to say that the journalists like to give, a little bit of the story. And I don't know if you have seen the movie of the Barolo Boys.
I've seen it, yeah.
So, but to be honest, it was a kind of a generational change. So it's the typical, if you want to call war, it doesn't matter, but it's a generational change. And in the past, the things never change for hundreds of years. So I remember my father was telling me, my father did like that. My grandfather did like that. My grandfather did like that. So this is the way to go. And that was the mentality of the older generation. Things had to be immobile still, right? But I think that the boomers were the first generation that were exposed to the beginning of the great changes.
Interesting, yeah. I mean, I'm reading about the winery you took over, so I Pira, I Figli, was described in a book I've got, Barolo, Tar and Roses, as the greatest exponent of the old school methods. Because the wines you made, starting with that very highly rated 1990, the Barolo Riserva Canubi from Barolo's most famous vineyard, was not old school at all, was it? I mean, what did you change, both in the vineyard and in the winery? What were your big changes?
A lot. The Pira, the Gigi Pira was the last producer who crushed the grape by feet.
Wow.
So he was really the last producer. And on the contrary, I did many changes. Okay, in the vineyards, the most important thing was the cutting of the production. So lightening the production was very important. In the past, the generation of our parents experienced the starvation. So for them was very, very outrageous to throw away the grape like we did. But we were throwing away the grape in order to lightening the production and have a better taste, a better natural concentration
more
of the
concentration,
grape.
Yeah.
Before the wine were lighter, it's true that also the people wanted to drink lighter. A little bit like now, people wanted to drink lighter. But back then it was like that because people drink a lot. So they were drinking lighter.
And what about in the winery? because you changed things in the winery as well, didn't you? New wood as opposed to botti, chestnut botti.
Yeah, in the winery is the biggest change, because we did a lot of investment. The winery in the past were very simple. The winery, the barrels were so old and stinky, so we had to get rid of that. But I think that, so we introduced, for example, the fermenter, with temperature control.
Yeah.
That was very important because we keep under control the fermentations. And so we had naturally reduction of the time of fermentation with more control on that phases. But I think that the most original idea, the biggest change, was the focus on terroir. So we started, because when we tasted together, we could compare the vineyard of different vineyards. And so for this reason, we were so touched for the fact that this diversity was a good idea, was a strong point, not a weak point. Yeah. So, Barolo has always made as an assemblage. That was the interpretation of Barolo in the past. So we started to vinify in purity the single cru, because every single cru had a different nuances, has a different character, perfume, structure, everything was different. And so we started to vinify in purity the single cru, making small quantity. And so for this reason, we had to go from the big botti to small botti.
Ones. Oh, just because of size, really.
Yeah. Of course, we didn't have enough wine to fill it up, the bigger botti anymore.
Interesting. And you started with 1.5 hectares that you bought with this bank loan. I think you're now at 11 hectares. Is that right? I mean, where are the vineyards?
14 and a half today.
14 and a half. God, it's huge, isn't it? So, I mean, where are they now? You've got vineyards in Barolo, obviously, where you're from, but also from the villages of Serralunga and Monforte d'Alba. Are those the three main villages?
Yeah, it's enough because the logistic is very difficult, but today is more possible. In the past, logistic was impossible because people walk, so it was impossible to have vineyard very far. Yeah. But today is possible because we have cars, we have tractors with the wheel, we have new equipment, so we can manage vineyard in different part of the area, because the area is very small. So
it's like 2,200 hectares, isn't it? About a whole of Barolo.
Yeah. It's very, very small. And so, it takes, let's say 15 minutes with the car to cross the area, right? So half an hour with the tractor. But so it's possible today to move. And to be honest, I think that this is fantastic because you diversify the risk in case of bad weather.
Okay.
If you have a hail, you never lose the production if you have several plots. But the most intriguing thing is that, because I've always been convinced that the terroir is our strength point. With different vineyard, you have the possibility to prove it, and that's why I make this wine. I make only 3 Barolo today, but we have 9 different plots. Of very good vineyards, yes. Very.
And why are those villages that you make wine in, Barolo, Serralunga, Monforte d'Alba, why are they so different? Is it altitude? Is it aspect? Is it soil? Is it a bit of everything?
A bit of everything. Yeah. When we use this beautiful word terroir, with one word, there is inside so many things, because there is the soil aspect, and the soil aspect is very different. Barolo area was submerged by the water. Then in the 30-year period of the Miocene, we had the evaporation of that water and a process of stratification that went on from 2 million to 11 million years. And that create this tongue of land so beautiful that created the Lange, which has very different characteristic of soil. We go from a younger soil to the older soil. So the soil is different from both a physical, let's say the granulometry is different, but also the composition of the soil between the sand and the clay. From the chemical point of view, our soils are all very calcareous. So there is a leitmotiv that a fil rouge that link every wine. So when you taste the Barolo, even if it's very different, but still you recognize the Barolo.
You've always got limestone in there somewhere, yeah?
Yeah. The calcareous soil gives this character. But the soil of rich in sand give more elegance. So Canu becomes in a soil that is almost 60% sand, and so it's super elegant. On the contrary, Mosconi comes from an area that has 55% clay.
Right.
So it's completely different. It's very masculine.
And where is Mosconi? That's in
Monforte.
In Monforte, yeah. Tell us a little bit about your farm, because you've been organically certified since 2014, and you were using organic practices long before that, weren't you? I mean, just what are the advantages of farming organically for you?
No economical advantages. Nothing of that. No, at the beginning, I choose to be organic because for an ethical reason. So I'm a woman. I'm very sensitive to the environment, to try to save the environment, and to try to pass the torch to the new generation. And I absolutely agree with the philosophy of the slow food that wine has to be good, clean, and fair. So I really marry these three concepts since the beginning.
I like that.
The clean aspect means organic. So I choose to be organic since the beginning. But in 2010, I decided to ask the certification because it's true. Some people told me, they said, a lot of people say, oh, of course I'm organic, but we want the proof. And I thought it's right because this is a link, something that really obliges you to work so hard, because the challenges today are so high, so much. It's not easy to be organic. It's more expensive. You make less wine. So that's why it's not so popular. It's not so popular. It's absolutely not convenient.
I want to ask you something about climate change. I mean, and Barolo is a tannic grape, and it ripens quite late. Has climate change been broadly a positive thing for Barolo?
Well, compared to the 70s, yes, because, back in the past, the people were struggling to make the grape mature because it was raining, the temperature were cold. But now we have an increase of average of 1.5 degrees, and probably we are going toward the 2 from back then, which up to a certain level was good, because today, of course, we have much better vintages, one after the other. In the past, there were 3 good vintages in a decade. There were 3 good vintages, 5 average, and 2 bad.
Really? So that bad?
Yeah. Today, we don't have that anymore. Actually, today, we have an alternation of maybe hotter vintage that give wine more, more soft, more intriguing, and maybe more classic vintage, maybe a little bit more fresh, so more powerful. But it's difficult to find bad vintages today.
Which is good, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but in the future, the global changing, the weather changing is really getting a problem. Yeah. First, because you have the weather is really becoming more extreme. Let's say maybe we had experience in 2023, for example, 6 months of drought, and then we had a bomb of water. So There is no half measure anymore.
Yeah, it's less predictable, isn't it?
Yeah, then the temperature goes high.
Yeah.
You have peaks of heat that are shocking. We have peaks a few days maybe of 40 degrees.
Yeah.
And we have the sun that is so strong that burn out the grape, can burn out the grape. That's why we have changed our agronomic work in the field because of that, to adapt to these big changes.
Interesting.
And for the first year, this year, because of the temperature, the government set a law that was not possible to work in the afternoon in the vineyard.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Never happened before.
God. Tell me a bit more about Nebbiolo, because it's the heart of what you do. I think is it 50% of your plantings, which is quite high for Piedmont, isn't it? I mean, is it a difficult grape to grow and to vinify?
No.
Is it like Pinot Noir in a way?
No. Nebbiolo is a fantastic grape, to be honest. It's very well behaving. It's, in a way, is the easiest. Is the easiest because it grows straight, doesn't get dirty. It's really a fantastic grape. And that's why, I have 50%, but in the area of Barolo, a lot of people are taking away Dolcetto Barbera, which we are proudly still have. Many people are taking away all the Dolcetto Barbera to plant Nebbiolo.
Because you can sell Nebbiolo at a higher price?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
But also other situation, of course. Yeah. Dolcetto, for example, is not on fashion anymore. So you struggle to make it, you struggle to sell it, and you don't pay the cost because the prices are very, very low.
Yeah, I mean, because you make really good Dolcetto and Barbera. I mean, I just wonder how those grapes differ from Nebbiolo. They're not as tannic for a start, are they? And do they tend to be grown in different terroirs? Historically, they were in different places, weren't they?
No, the terroir is the same. That's why, for example, we say that, for example, the Barbera, our Barbera, if you put it on the side, we say that baroleggia. That means that with the long aging, you cannot recognize a Barbera from a Barolo. Yes, because you don't have tannins, you should recognize, but for the flavors and the character, it's very difficult. So the soil is the same. But we dedicate different side of the area. So Dolcetto, which has the shortest life, circle of life, we planted in the fresher position. So all the north facing, northeast, northwest, right? And the Barbera, on the contrary, has to be a good position. So south, southeast, southwest, or west and east, but has to be a good position. And because otherwise it does not mature, And so this is the main difference. Then Dolcetto and Barbera has a plant, has a faster evolution, of course. Barbera is more or less more similar to the Nebbiolo. And in the cellar are more difficult because Dolcetto tends to get dirty easy. You have to always clean and move the wine. Otherwise, it will, if you keep it in contact with the sediment, it gets stinky. So you have to be really careful, taste it continuously. Barbera is very, very dense in more in the color, the sediment. So anyway, the easiest varietal to work in the vineyard and in the cellar is definitely the Nebbiolo.
That's interesting. I didn't know that before. Tell me about Nebbiolo. Is it clonally diverse? Is it fragile, a bit like Pinot Noir? Or do you work with massal selections or do you actually buy clones?
All right. So, you know that the situation in the past, at a certain moment, the government obliged the producer to buy certified genetic material. Why? Because otherwise the people were reproducing sometimes plants with virus,
Yeah.
So, in order to stop this problem, we have been obliged to buy certified material. So the baby plants has to have the passport, the EU passport.
Okay.
No?
Yeah.
So you have to buy from the nursery, and that's it. And that causes in the long term a loss of diversity, and so. Even if on one side I have to say that the CNR, the Centro di Ricerca, is the regional center of research for genetic material. They have been doing in these last 50 years a great job. They identify 55 different Nebbiolo clones, clean up from virus. Okay.
Yeah.
So there is, for example, this genetic professor, Maria Schneider. You probably have already heard about her. Now she's impatient from a few years, but she did a great job. She created a bank of clone, and she was always looking for selection masal, like we do. For example, I have in our vineyard some older vines, very good, and I reproduced. But what you do is you have to take the material when you prune, take immediately. It's like when you take the heart for a transplantation, right? So take it, boom, get the card, go to the nursery, and they and give it to them. So they will reproduce your material,
interesting,
certified.
Yeah.
Look, and then you will get it 2 years later.
It's free of virus, yeah, basically. They
free
check.
of virus. They watch that is like that. So you can replicate masal selection. Then, I mean, there is not the spy. You could do it, but it's dangerous actually. So I prefer to take it to the nursery and have them to certify that it's okay. But to be honest, the mother that I take out of, they are so great that it's obvious that they don't have any virus. And for example, I have in our vineyard, my father discovered one plant that had an incredible genetic mutation. So he reproduced it. And it's a Barolo, it's a Nebbiolo that has a very light color that looks like a rosé. So 10 years ago, I talked to this genetist, this Maria Schneider, and I told her about this. And she came right away into my vineyards and said, I want to see it. I want to take the plant. And she did all the research. She did the DNA research. And at the end, she says, Chiara, this one is not a rosé. This is a mutation of an incredible mutation of a normal Lampia clones.
Fascinating. Listen, I want to ask you a little bit about the wines that you're making now, because your elder brother, Giorgio, who was at the winery years ago. He's younger. So Giorgio's younger, is it? Okay, yeah. And 2010, after the sale of Borgogna, he came to join you, didn't he? I just wonder, has he had any influence on the style? Do you talk about the style? Has the style changed?
Sure. We talk every year, because of course, he has been very kind. He comes from a very traditional situation and winemaking system, but he joined me. And of course, at the beginning, let's say the philosophy was only my philosophy, because I was terroiriste and whatever. But the fact that when you are together, and because I love my brother very much, in fact, I invite him to join me for this reason, because I wanted to have, someone that helped me to keep over. My brother has 3 daughters that now are coming in the winery. And so, and talking with him, interacting, allow both of us to change in the time. Also because you have to adapt to the new situation that are changing. So, but the big change right away that we do both was really to kind of come across to a sort of common ground, which means, when we bought all this vineyard and we had the 9 plot in our hands, we decided to make 2 single cru, because I'm a terroirist, of course, and so Cannubio Mosconi, because they show the biggest diversity possible in the Barolo scene. They express the 2 soul of Barolo, let's say. And all the other 7 plot, which are actually great plot, is not a Barolo Base, the other wine. We blended together. I thought it was really important to pay a homage to the heritage of my family. So the traditional concept, because of course today we do the wine in different way. We don't crush the grape by feet anymore, but we do. Actually, I did it also. I tried again some example. I did an experiment with that again, but still we have changed a lot. But the concept of the assemblage, the concept of using big barrels. So with this wine, the assemblage that I nominated with the name of one of the crew that has been cancelled, in 2010 with the MGA. The many crew has been cancelled. From 600 crew, we went down to 181. And so Via Nuova, that I was making as a single crew, disappeared. And I thought, well, it's perfect. We can nominate this wine with the name of this vineyard and create it like if it was a brand of our winery.
I like that. Can I ask you a little bit about pricing? Because the prices of the top Barolos have increased a lot since 1990. In 1975, I think Elio Altare said, he went to Burgundy. He said, all revolutions begin on an empty stomach. And you were saying that, people couldn't afford to eat out expensively and their wines were selling at cheap prices. Where are the prices for Barolo now? I mean, do you look at Burgundy sometimes and think, we need to make sure we don't do that?
But Burgundy is still very far. So sometime I have to say, no, the prices increase a lot. And some winery really increase a lot. I have to say that personally speaking, our prices, of course, are not cheap, but are still reasonable. That is what my customers say.
I think that's true.
That is the feeling of my customer when they say, well, compared to that kind of quality, in other parts of the world, in France, but even in America, for this kind of quality, the prices are much higher out there. And so I try to, for me, the price has, of course, to cover the cost. And in my case, the Barolo paid the cost also of the Dolcetto, the Barbera, all these things. And today in our area, the costs are higher because you remember good, clean, and fair. Fair means that you have to pay well your worker. And so it's because our area has high intensity of work, is labor intensive. So we have the big expenses that side. But it's true, today things change, even the Barolo has changed as a village. We have under the eyes the extremization of what we started years ago, but now become a little monster, because if as a Barolo boys we were going around the world trying to convince the people to appreciate the Barolo, try to convince the people to come over and discover the beauty of the Langhe, now is even too much sometimes.
You don't want them there.
No, of course we want.
But tourism is huge, isn't it? Yeah.
The tourism is over tourism, which is different. What I like is the people that really love wine, not people that just say, "Oh, I've been here, I've been there, I've been there." There is just this grasshopper that go in this place just to say, "Oh, I've been to Australia, I've been to this, I've been to that."
It's on a bucket list, as we say in English. Yeah.
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 No, people that come in our area are people that love wine, love food. They like the soft and slow movement, really,
Yeah.
in that sense.
I like
And
that.
we are becoming too fast.
Good.
So,
Yes. I like the slowness. Talking about slowness, how do you get away from wine? Are you still making cheese? You make a Castelmagno cheese, don't you?
that was another crazy one of the lost war that I adore, you know. So together with some friend, we were thinking, you know, we said, okay, we did this miracle of changing the langue in a place that before the young would run away, you know, of emigration. We turned it into a land of immigration. So there is today people that come from abroad. There are people from America, from, I don't know, North Europe, people that actually want to come over, buy the house, and live a style of life more simple, more easy, made of good relation, made good food and good wine, which
So
is true
cheese.
because,
Yeah. What else?
exactly.
What else do you do to get away from wine?
No, that's unfortunately, I don't get so much away from wine.
It's your life, right?
It's my life. I
Yeah.
think that maybe now that my nieces are supporting me, who knows? Maybe I can have more time to follow other passion, like I don't know, painting. I was so good at painting when I was young. I never had time to do anything like that. But no. It's the wine world is something that absorbs you 360 degree, you know. And if you want to do something good, you know, you have to be a little bit fanatic
I love
because
that.
a little is never enough.
I
No,
think that's fantastic. Listen, Chiara, it's been fantastic talking to you. I so enjoyed catching up with you. And I'll see you soon. It's time I came to Barolo, not been for a while. I'll see you soon.
please, you're welcome. And thank you for calling. Thank you for this wonderful chat. And you made my day.
Chiara is a hugely important figure in Barolo, a region that owes her a debt of gratitude. I really enjoyed catching up with her. Next week on Cork Talk, my guest is Anouk Dan from Les Celliers de Vétros in Switzerland. Join me then. Thanks for listening to Cork Talk. If you want to read more reports, articles and tasting notes by me, go to my website, timatkin.com. You can also follow me on Twitter @timatkin and on Instagram @timatkinmw. See you next week.